Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. What do you think is going to be at the end of this gigantic crypto rainbow? What do you think is going to be there? Where do you think all of this is going to not end? But what's like the end game for a lot of this? Years ago, we had a number of companies who were announcing that they were getting into the cryptocurrency space. They were thinking of buying Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is kind of like I don't want to give them this much credit, but like the shining star that kind of really dragged a lot of other people like into the space. So previously, if you weren't here years ago, we had companies announcing they were thinking of putting $1 million into Bitcoin. They were potentially assuming that at some point they might accumulate more. A lot of that I think was like done in secret anyway. It's kind of like the idea as a multi-trillion-dollar company. I do not believe that Facebook, Apple, Amazon just happen to have zero Bitcoin whatsoever. When you are that wealthy, you allocate money into every single thing that you possibly can as a just in case. But then that's moved us rapidly into this world that we live in now, where all of these companies are announcing daily, really daily, that they're going to get into Bitcoin. They're making a Bitcoin reserve. They had a conversation with Michael Saylor. We had some of that last year as well, but like a lot of it seems to maybe now be coming to fruition. I'm not exactly sure. We heard Michael Saylor and Max Kaiser last year say that they were in discussions with a number of companies and a number of countries who were secretly buying Bitcoin, and that many of them would be revealed over the course of this year. But even then, I feel like we're only like scratching maybe the surface of what's really going on. The amount of Bitcoin on crypto exchanges is dropping dramatically, as are many of the other large cap coins. We're still having discussions about states within the United States creating Bitcoin reserves, which we also haven't heard a lot about because I think there's so many other things going on with these other bills being passed, and this is happening, and the SEC is doing this, and this company's buying this, and that's happening with so-and-so. And it's almost, no, it is incredibly overwhelming, the amount of news that we're getting about this. When I ask, like, where do you think all of this is going? I mean, like, how high do you think Bitcoin's going to get in price? Who do you think are going to be like the richest people out there holding Bitcoin? If Bitcoin goes to several $1 million per coin, like who's not benefiting from it, but like who are these people who are buying up all the coins? They're buying up so many so quick. It's not that it has to mean something, but it means something. You wouldn't do this otherwise. You wouldn't throw billions of dollars into a market that you didn't believe in or that you didn't know was going to do something extraordinary over the course of a certain period of time. Obviously, in the news today is MicroStrategy. They were accumulating Bitcoin before in intervals of, in intervals of 1 or 2 months. We would hear from Michael Saylor every now and again on the news talking about how amazing Bitcoin was, but then they would announce 2 months later, yeah, we bought $17 million worth of it. That was ramped up to 100 million. The first time 100 million happened, we were like, somebody's putting $100 million into Bitcoin. And then that went up to 250 million. One time they were trying to raise $500 million. I don't know if you heard that. $500 million. And then that went to, I think, $800 million that also went into Bitcoin. And now their normal purchases tend to be over $1 billion, and they're happening in rapid, quick succession. MicroStrategy and their CEO, Michael Saylor, he's admitted multiple times that like they never really plan on stopping their Bitcoin purchases. He said even when Bitcoin's at $1 million, he's not stopping because he's one of the believers that if Bitcoin can get to 1 million, it can get to 10 million. If it gets to 10 million, it can go to 15 million. He's expecting, as many other people are, listen, I know it sounds crazy, They're expecting a $100 million Bitcoin. So I think sometimes you hear that they're accumulating a lot and then you see what the current prices are. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, oh, that's cool. They're just spending all their money on this thing. But you don't realize that they're expecting like 1,000x profit. Like they really are expecting like this to be the new world reserve currency. So in the brand new edition of them announcing that they want all the Bitcoin in the world, keeping in mind that they're not the only company doing this. They are just now one of a multitude who are trying to get to several 100,000 to 1 million Bitcoin by themselves. Spoiler, there's not that much left. The company has entered into a new agreement. They are going to be selling and therefore trying to raise an equivalent amount. They're going to be selling their shares through something called the At the Market program or the ATM program. Each share will be for $100. At the time of the terms, it says they have 8.5 million already outstanding. They are trying to raise from this sale, the one that we're talking about right now. They're going to be, let's be honest here, they're going to raise $2.1 billion to buy Bitcoin with. Can you imagine, like really, answer me, can you imagine spending $1 million right now on Bitcoin? Let's say you had $10 million in your bank account. Would you put $1 million into Bitcoin? Let's say you had $100 million across assets. Would you sell half of them to put $50 million into Bitcoin? Like, is your conviction that strong? I want to know what's going on. This isn't... No, it is. I'm going to lightly put my tinfoil hat on. What's going on here? They're not the only one. There were multiple. So the issue ends up being, over the course of this channel, like we tend to talk about one topic per day, but there's about 15 things happening every single day. You know, for the sake of clarity, this is why I'm not making like 5 videos per day on this channel. It would be completely exhausting. All these companies are announcing that they're buying billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Every single one of them. We've had some companies who were like, listen, I couldn't have rolled my eyes more. They said they're starting out with one company. They said their first accumulation will be $100 million worth of Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, that's it? Oh, just 100 million? Oh, okay, that's fine. You're clearly broke because you can't do more than that. 100 million is an enormous amount of money. $5 million is an enormous amount of money. $100 million is such a huge amount of money that you could spend $1 million per year and it would still outlive you, that money. $2.1 billion this week is what they're planning on buying to push into Bitcoin. And then we're going to hear the same exact thing next week. I think a couple days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, they announced that they were, what was the number? It was something ridiculous. I think that they had like only purchased, I think 113 million. It was some weird number, but it wasn't a lot. 113 million worth of Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor was like, yeah, we're working on it. And I was like, dude, you own everything. Like, what more could you be working on? You're aiming for 1 million Bitcoin by the end of this year. The companies and the corporations are they're getting a bit scary because they're ramping up their efforts, and also keeping in mind, like today, there's also another new company who is announcing somewhere that they're going to be buying more Bitcoin. So, yeah. There has to be an end to the madness at some point. They can't accumulate forever. All these other companies are going to probably continue popping up, announcing what they're going to do, but the numbers are getting like a little weird at this point. So I do think often, I know it sounds a little weird, but it's something that passes through my mind. I wonder where this is all going to lead to. How rich is this company? And I'll give you a slight spoiler. There was an analyst we were talking about on the other channel, The Modern Investor, who said that he thinks that within the next 10 to 15 years, that MicroStrategy alone he thinks MicroStrategy is going to hold $50 trillion worth of Bitcoin. Do you understand how significant the price rise would have to be? Isn't Bitcoin's market cap like at 2 trillion or something or other? He said just them. He's expecting them to have $50 trillion, and that doesn't even encompass the other 95% of Bitcoin that's also like running around out there. So yeah, things are getting crazy. People are creating fortunes right in front of our noses, and never forget how early you are in this market and that there's a lot of time for you to be richer as well. Yeah, that's the corporation news of the day. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.